This is a cursory analysis of attendance of the 2013 Hollywood Bowl season from Mr. Jenkins' statistics class at Notre Dame Academy Girls School. First, a brief overview of the charts that you're looking at. This top one right here is the full season attendance. And this was based on the data that was provided us, which I have attached as a PDF to this email. The data included the day of the week of a particular event, the date, the performers, the attendance, and whether or not there were fireworks on that particular date. There were also different genres, but I had to kind of change the categories because I wasn't quite sure of the categories that you wanted to use. So I made up a second graph here, and the categories that I used were C for classical, P for popular or jazz, and W for world music. The third graph divided up the attendance by days of the week. There's also a bar chart over here that showed there were 9 performances with fireworks, and I may have made a mistake on that as well. And we'll see how that impacts the attendance as well in a minute. So if there's anything in the data that you would like to correct or change, it'll be easy for us to put that into our program and do so. So just looking at the initial graphs, you can see that the attendance ranged from a little over 5,000 all the way up to a little bit more than 17,000 for all of the events. Looking at the different genres, the classical music had the lowest attendances. Interesting outlier there, we'll come back to that. The popular not only had the most number of performances, but also had the highest overall attendance, although the median attendance here for the world music was higher than the median of the popular music. And the world music performances generally were very well attended, but there were very few of them. I believe there were only 4 of them. And then looking at days of the week, not surprisingly, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, well, there were the most performances there, but the median for Saturday and Sunday were the highest. Friday's median a little bit lower than Wednesday, which is kind of an interesting observation. And the medians for Tuesday and Thursday were the lowest. So let's see if we can't get a little bit more analysis. And I'm going to look at the different each quartile here of the overall attendance. So I'm looking at the lowest quartile, and you can see it shows up as a red dot on all these other graphs as well, that the lowest quartile of overall attendance, most heavily concentrated here in the classical music. Some of the popular music were also low quartile. Lowest days for attendance were Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Again, not surprising as they're during the week. Moving up a quartile, we see that in the quartile number 2, so still below the median here, a lot of our better classical performances, still mostly lower popular performances, but every day of the week is pretty fairly well represented equally by the second quartile. And moving to the third quartile, you can see that our popular shows right in the middle there are all in the above the median in the third quartile. Again, day of the week doesn't seem to make any difference. And when I go to our top quartile of attendance, overwhelmingly the popular, a couple of the world shows, and again, evenly represented during the week. I guess there's a little bit more here on Saturdays and Sundays. One thing again to take away from this is that it really seems as if the genre of performance has much more of an impact on attendance than does the day of the week. Let's take a look at a couple of our outliers. In terms of the genre, we can see there's a couple of outliers here for the classical performances. We can see what those are. Well, one of them was opening night, June 22nd. A total performance of a total attendance of 13,694, and it included fireworks. The other outlier in classical was one of the Tchaikovsky performances, again including fireworks, and on a Saturday. Well, looking at that, it would kind of imply to me that fireworks is probably a pretty big draw. And that's why I made this separate fireworks chart. So if I kind of click over there and see what were all the fireworks, we can kind of see that, yes, fireworks were some of the were from some of the larger, the better attended performances. All of these right up here are in the third and the fourth quartile. This one down here, I believe that's probably our Tchaikovsky, no, that's our opening night with fireworks. Maybe wasn't that well attended in relationship to the other firework performances because it was still in pretty early summer. Another thing I wanted to take a look at were these 4th of July performances. They were by Josh Groban, and very high attendance, among the highest attended performances of the season. Highest among the popular music, highest in the days, clearly highest in the total attendance. Is it because of the performer, or is it because of the 4th of July? Interesting question. So as you can see, there are a number of ways we can examine this data, and we'd be happy to do any other kind of an analysis that you might like. The students and I came up with some interesting questions, though, which would require additional data and additional analysis. One question is whether the attendance figures were for tickets sold or actual bodies that came through the turnstiles. A number of questions came up about revenue. We don't know how much revenue each of the performances generated because we don't know what the ticket prices were, and we don't know who ended up, what sections ended up being filled. We also don't know whether that's an important question for the Hollywood Bowl. If I'm not mistaken, the Hollywood Bowl is run by a foundation, a not-for-profit foundation, and perhaps some of the mission of the foundation is to provide a wide variety of music to the community. If we were just looking at it from a profit standpoint, you might decide to just get rid of all the classical performances, which would upset me personally very much because I happen to be a subscriber to one of the Tuesday series. But then again, maybe the classical performances charge a higher price, and we kind of speculated that the classical audiences would probably be older and maybe are important for donor purposes. So that would be an interesting thing to do further investigation on. We also thought it'd be interesting to do a study of the age demographics for each of the types of performances, each of the genres, and on each of the days for that matter. And such a thing, we could do that with a sample survey. We don't need to take an entire census of the bowl on a particular night, but we can use statistical modeling methods to analyze that. If we came over there and did just a sample survey for some concerts. And we could even divide that up by what kind of seats that different age groups tend to fill. Another thing that the students thought might be important was what kind of weather there was for each of the concerts. Now, we do live in Los Angeles, and it's rare during the summertime that we get inclement weather. But if there were impacts of the weather on particular performances, although we can't predict the weather very far in advance, it might make a difference as to how you structured your employees. You might want to have more temporary that you might can just call up on a moment's notice or ask to not come in to thereby control your expenses. And another revenue issue was concessions. How much do the different audiences spend in concessions, and whether that's important to the Hollywood Bowl. So we would really like to thank you for giving us this data and the opportunity to put together a little bit of statistical analysis. It was a great project for the class. We would be happy to talk to you about doing this on an annual basis or an ongoing basis. I think we can offer a lot, and since we're not charging, the price is right. So we hope you enjoyed it, and please let us know if you have any additional questions. Thanks.